Alright guys, so in today's video I'm going to take you step by step on building your Team Durango ball diff. Now the ball diff is a certain component for each RC kit that a lot of people tend to have problems with, so I thought it would be a good idea to do a more detailed video on how to build your ball diff. In this video we are going to be building the Team Durango DEX210v2 ball diff. I hope you guys enjoy. So I'm building this ball diff, guys. I'm going to be going by the Team Durango DEX210v2 manual, the way it tells you how to do it. And what it's saying to do for part 1 is to make sure you have your outdrive, the outdrive that doesn't have the piece sticking out, the open one. So I'm going to put that one to the side. You're going to want your thrust washers that are going to be inside of a small Ziploc bag. You're going to want your black grease, which is going to be this yellow cap bottle or cap container here. And you're also going to want your circlip. So it's going to be this right here, your little snap rings. I think we call it C-clip, snap rings. And when using these snap rings, make sure you have a pair of snap ring pliers because these can break, and using snap ring pliers will really help you. You've located everything you need for part 1 of the diff build. You're going to want to make sure you have your black grease out for this, guys. You're going to want to locate your small thrust washer, your smaller one out of the two, which is going to be my right one. It's hard to tell by the video, but once you have it in front of you, you will be able to tell. So the smaller one will go first. Now what you need to do is actually grease up every piece, every thrust washer. So your small one, this gold piece, and your larger one. I am going to use a toothpick to put grease on my thrust washer. Now you guys can see that I do have a good coating of black grease on here. Don't be afraid to get dirty, guys, because this is going to require a little bit of dirtiness. Just wipe it off. Now this is going to drop right inside of your outdrive. If it goes in a little crooked, you can use something like a driver to get it to go in straight. So it should drop in and be nice and round inside there. And then the next piece you're going to want to get is this little gold one with the balls on it, and you're going to want to get that, or let that get some diff grease as well, or black grease. You don't need to overcoat them, guys. Just a little bit will be fine with a good coat. Once you have that with black grease on it, you're going to want to drop it inside your outdrive with the other piece. Sitting in there nice and tight. Sorry about that. And once you have the gold piece in there, you're going to get this larger outdrive and get some black grease on that one. Once you have some black grease on this one, you're going to want to drop this one inside as well. So once you have your large thrust washer in there and greased up, you're going to want to make sure it's pushed down enough. So I'll grab one of my hex drivers and give it a couple pushes on each side of the driver. Make sure it's even. You're going to want to go as far down as it possibly can. You can hear it clicking while it's moving down. And once it goes down far enough, you're going to want to grab a pair of snap ring pliers. So once you have a pair of snap ring pliers, you're going to use these to grab your snap ring and put it inside of the outdrive. Now that I've kind of cleaned up my mess a little bit here, guys, we're going to get our snap ring pliers, which is recommended by Team Durango to be using for this part of the build. You're going to grab your C-clip. Make sure you have it nice and tight on your snap ring pliers here. So now that I'm kind of cleaned up a little bit here, we're going to want to locate our snap ring pliers if you do have some. These are recommended for this part of the build, or else it's going to be very hard to use normal pliers or like needle nose and squeeze this snap ring without breaking it and putting it in inside the housing of this outdrive. So you're going to want to be very, very careful not to over compress your snap ring here or your C-clip. So once you have it on, you're going to want to compress nice and slowly. I like to put my finger on the snap ring just in case if I lose it. You do not want something like that to happen. I did not lose it, but it will come off. It is very sensitive, especially when you have big snap ring pliers like I do. So now you're going to want to squeeze, compress. There you have it. Let me get you guys in a closer shot here and show you what it looks like with the snap ring in there. See if I can get a good light angle here. You can see the two little holes there. That is from your snap ring. or your C-clip. So it should be sitting right on top of your thrust washers there. If your outdrive looks like that, you are good. Now, if you did break one of your C-clips when trying to put it in, Team Durango does provide an extra one, which is nice. So just be careful, guys. And I really recommend using C-clip pliers or snap ring pliers. You can pick them up at your local True Value or Home Depot or something. The ones I'm using are Vice Grips by Irwin. So there you have it. Now you're done with part 1 of the ball diff build. Now we have the snap ring in there and the thrust washers. We are now done with part 1 of the build of the ball diff. Now we're going to want to find our silicone grease. You'll find your silicone grease in the white cap bottle. So it should look like this. And what we're going to do is actually we're going to be getting our balls. Part 2 of your ball diff build is going to be the biggest step in the build. What we're going to be doing first in this part, or this step, we're going to be getting our silicone oil, which is this, or silicone grease, which is this white cap bottle that is provided by Team Durango. I like to use my finger when I do this. And what you're going to want is your gear here, and you're going to rub it right on the inside. Get a nice thick coating of it here. Because what you're going to be doing is that silicone grease is going to be what's holding your balls inside of each of these little holes that is inside of the gear. Your gear should be looking something like this. You're going to want some of the silicone oil in each of these holes inside the gear, because that is where you're going to be placing each of these metal balls that come in with your ball diff. They'll each be placed in each of these, and they'll stay in there because the silicone grease will be holding them in. Be sure not to cake too much on there, but better safe than sorry. The balls here. Now once you have them all out, make sure not to lose them. And all you're going to really do is just place them into each hole in the gear. So I got one in there already. Get your next one, place it in. Get your next one, place it in. So I have 3 in there already. It's a lot simpler than it looks, or it's a lot simpler than it looks, guys. It's really not that hard. Once you get down, you just gotta be very patient and pay attention to your manual, and you should be having no troubles at all. So once I get all these balls in, guys, I'll show you what it should look like. With each ball inside, it should look something like this. I have one in each hole of this gear. You can see that they won't come out the other side because I have silicone grease on that side too. Now they're coming out. So that's what it should look like once you have all balls inside. And now let's move on to the next step. You have 2 of these metal pieces inside of your kit, and where they're going to go is actually onto your outdrive. And we're going to be using the same outdrive we used earlier to put in the snap ring in. So keep this outdrive out, and you're going to want to get some silicone grease and rub it along the outside of this. I'm going to take not too big of a coat of silicone grease and just rub it along. If you have a little bit of extra coming off the edges, don't be afraid to wipe it off with your fingers or a rag. But it won't damage anything, but it is good to keep clean, so I recommend keeping it clean. Once you think you have enough silicone grease on this outdrive here, you're going to want to grab your metal piece and line it up with a flat spot on your outdrive. Make sure you get in there straight. It should kind of lock down. You'll feel it when you're pushing down. And it should look something like this. Shouldn't be able to fall off because you have the grease on there. Now your next step is to grab this and push it right on top of your gear. Flip over your gear. You should have it standing up now like this with one outdrive on the other side. Make sure none of the balls come out from the pressure of the outdrive now sitting on them. Just push them in a little bit. They are sticking out a little bit. Once you've made sure none of your balls are loose, you're going to grab one of the washers that is provided in bag D1. Once you've made sure none of these balls are loose, you're going to want to grab your 2 bearings from bag D1, your smaller bearings, which are going to be bearing number 601020. These bearings are going to be the size of 5 by 8 by 2.5 millimeter. Alright, so once we got those, you're going to want to drop the first one right on top here. Might take a little bit of force. If it doesn't go in all the way, I have a toothpick here, and I'll just use that to kind of push it down Won't damage the bearing at all. Spin it around, make sure it's nice and tight. And then you're going to grab shim number from bag D1. It's going to be shim number 07090115. There's going to be only one of these in this bag, so you're not going to have a separate one. It's going to be the smallest shim in the bag. And then once you put the shim in, you're going to drop it right in top through the outdrive. And if you have trouble with it not going down straight, you're going to grab the next one, your next washer, which is going to be washer 601020, and drop it right on top of that shim. Once you finish, it should look something like this. You're going to have one of your bearings down under this one, a shim, and then the bearing on top, and it should be nice and flush with your gear. And let's move on to the next step, guys. Now that we have the two bearings in and the shim in between them inside of this outdrive, we can go ahead and set this off to the side for now. And we're going to go on and grab our next outdrive that has this piece sticking out. And what you're going to do with this is grab the same metal piece you grabbed before. You should have two of them in bag D1. You're going to want to get your silicone grease again. Rub a nice coat along this or the edge here. And once you have the silicone grease on, you're going to want to find the flat edge on your outdrive. Stick your ring on there. It should snap in a little bit. See that it won't fall off. And once you've done that, clean it up a little bit. Once it's cleaned up, guys, you can grab your other outdrive with the gear on there and place this one right on top. Now, guys, once we have this together, let's move on to the next step, and then we'll be done. For this next step, you're going to want to have the piece, the outdrive with the little rod that was sticking out is going to be on the bottom right here. So have it facing your table. And what you're going to do next is get this piece. This will be a threaded thruster here. Drop it right through the top. So it should sink down to the bottom. You can grab a toothpick or whatever you have, something small to push it down, make sure it's down all the way. And after that, you're going to grab these two orange shims that are provided in your bag D1 and slide it right over the outdrive. So they'll be sitting just like that. Next, you're going to want to grab your bearing that is a size of 10 by 15 by 4 millimeters. It's going to be bearing number 601003, and put that right on top. Now after that, you're going to want to flip it over to the other side. Grab the spring here that is provided in D1. Slide that through the top here. So that's going to be sitting over your thrust. Then next, you're going to want to grab this plastic piece. It kind of looks like a T. Make sure the parts that are sticking out horizontally are towards you when you're putting it in. And you're going to drop that down in there as well. And that's going to be sitting on top of your spring. After you've gotten that on there, you're going to want to get each washer, or each shim, the two orange shims that are provided in bag D1. You should have 4 of them in total, 2 on each side. So now that I have those 2 on there, we're going to grab our bearing once again and put it right through on top. Now, we're going to finish this off by tightening down the thrust, and you should be done. I wanted to mention, before you drop the spring in onto your thruster, you want to use a tool something like this. And what I like to do is pre-compress it. It tells you to do that in the manual, so you just kind of squeeze it a little bit and get it to soften up, and then you drop it in there and put your little T piece on there. And then from there, guys, what you're going to want to do is get 2 hex drivers, and make sure they're both smaller than 2.5 because they're going to have to fit through each of your outdrives here. So guys, to tighten up your ball diff here, you're going to want to get a 1.5 millimeter hex driver and slide it through the opposite side of the diff. And then you're going to want to grab a flathead. On one side, you're going to have a piece where your flathead screws in or will lock into, which will be your thruster. And once you get to the flathead in there, you're just going to tighten it as tight as you can. So guys, to test to see if you have your ball diff tight enough after using your flathead to tighten up the ball diff, you want to stick in 2 drivers, whatever you have, that will fit into the outdrives. and hold them in place. Once you have both drivers in there, you can pick up your ball diff and try and see if you can spin it by hand. So if you can spin this gear by hand, that means that it is not tight enough. As you can see, I cannot spin it by hand. So guys, if your ball diff is like this, you should be good. Guys, we have just finished building the Team Durango DEX210v2 ball diff. If you guys ran into any problems and if you guys are still confused, please let me know in the comments down below and I will be happy to help you out. If you guys are still running into problems, you can also go to Team Durango's YouTube channel. They have tons of tips there and also on their website. Now guys, if you guys like this build and if you guys learned something today or if I was able to help you through your build, please let me know. But this concludes part 5 of the Team Durango DEX210v2 build series. So guys, if this was informative, please let me know. Thanks for watching guys. Be sure to check out the rest of my YouTube channel and Team Durango's Facebook and their website. Thanks for watching.